Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be on this planet of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We welcome you to our program tonight. We're going to not go to our national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. We're going straight to the news. We have a lot of things we need to cover. I would ask that all of you pay close attention to what is going on. Matt Martin says, "Hi Ron, no alerts for them today. Everyone please pray for Israel." This is an alert. I've got new information. Just before coming on this program, I got off the phone with my military sources, and I have a lot of information to share with you tonight. The state of Israel is at war with Hamas. Now, most of you may think this is typical. This is typical. It's not. About 50 years ago, back in 1967, there was a 3-day war. And a lot of things happened. In 1970, I believe it was 1979, there was another war that Israel was involved in. Now we're here again. The National Security Council spokesman today said the United States confirmed the death of 9 Americans in Israel during the violence in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We have reports that Americans were killed. We extend our deepest condolences to the victims and to the families of all those that have been affected. And we wish those that were injured a speedy recovery. We're going to continue to monitor this situation closely, and we will remain in touch with our Israeli partners and the local authorities in Tel Aviv. In shocking new evidence, the Palestinian terrorist attack on Israel has directly affected the United States. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has confirmed reports that Americans have been killed and Americans have been abducted by invaders from the Hamas Islamic force. Secretary Blinken acknowledged the close relationship between Hamas and Iran, but he argued that there's no evidence that has emerged yet that Iran has staged or supported Saturday's invasion of Israel. Folks, you cannot take what politicians say as gospel. Anthony Blinken is a politician. Okay? Hamas is being supported by Iran. Where did the rockets that Hamas launched into Israel come from? Iran. Where are the other munitions coming from? Iran. And the United States. I'm going to talk to you tonight about how the United States weapons made their way into the hands of the Hamas, and they're being used against Israel. The terrorist has simply overwhelmed the border security. The terrorist surprisingly overwhelmed border security. That is one reason why the Iron Dome was not able to take down all the missiles that were launched at Israel. Our Iron Dome is almost impenetrable. But this time, Hamas launched missiles into Israel that did substantial damage and killed people. As soon as the terrorists stormed through the Israeli border in several different places, not just 1, 2, or 3 places, many places were stormed by Hamas, and they made their way through the border of Israel. That in itself is amazing, considering the border area of Israel and the Gaza Strip is very heavily protected. And yet, Hamas stormed the border. As soon as they stormed the border, down in that same area, in the southern area of Israel, there was a music festival being put on. A musical festival rave near the border. Here, Hamas slaughtered about 260 people. This was a massive terrorist attack on Israeli civilians. I am not going to show you pictures of the slaughter in any way, shape, or form. It's too grisly and we would lose this channel. Instead, I'm going to show you other pictures of what went on. This was a massive terrorist attack against Israeli civilians. Indiscriminate firing of rockets against civilians. So you can imagine the impact that this is having on Israel. And it should be something that revolts the entire world. The casualties are rising in Israel. The threat of Israeli tanks rolling across the border in a ground invasion is very real. And it should be. It should very much be real. These are Israeli tanks, heavily fortified pieces of iron that are almost unstoppable. Marie says this is most definitely biblical. I believe it is. That's why we're talking about it tonight. I want to make a point perfectly clear. We're going to keep a very close eye on this because I have a lot of information that may astound you before this evening's through. Israel has a more conventional military compared to the US or Britain. Israel's military features a large number of tanks and armored vehicles because they make a real difference when crossing the borders into other territories. Now, something that you may not have seen before. Let's see. This. These are Israeli fighter jets. Okay? In terms of air power, the Israeli military uses its own KFIR, K-F-I-R fighter jets, multi-role warplanes based on the French-made Mirage aircraft. The Air Force also has a number of advanced F-35 Lightning II jets obtained from the United States. The Israeli military in general is high-tech, and it's very innovative. An open secret when it comes to Israel is the presence of nuclear weapons. They have them. They 100% have nuclear weapons. No, Israel will never confirm or deny. Israeli military doctrine accounts for the use of nuclear weapons as a final deterrent in situations where the existence of the state of Israel is perceived to be threatened by foreign power. Israel has not got any plans at all to use these nuclear weapons in Gaza. It's too close. Hamas, on the other hand, is a very well-armed guerrilla force. Hamas is a very well-armed force. They're a force to be reckoned with. I want to show you something. I've been pulling all kinds of information for this program literally all day long. I've been monitoring military sources since this morning. I believe I have the latest info on what's going on. Hamas is a very well-armed guerrilla organization. Hamas is one of the most heavily armed guerrilla organizations in the world. It lacks the same type of armored vehicles as Israel for various reasons, including that it would not be a very likely target for Israeli strikes. Hamas operates from utility vehicles such as motorcycles and Land Rovers, and they mount a weapon on the back, like a .30 caliber heavy machine gun. These can be very mobile, and they've been used to a devastating effect. I have seen videos of Hamas coming into Israel on motorcycles, just like the picture you see here. These can be very mobile and having a very devastating effect, as they showed everyone on Saturday. And while Israel has its formidable Iron Dome air defense, Israel has an Iron Dome air defense. Let there be no doubt in anybody's mind what can happen with that. We've seen what the Iron Dome did during the Iran-Iraq war battle. We've seen what happened there. This is going to be a very nasty air defense. And Israel is using it. The reason it was not very effective at the very beginning is because Hamas rockets that they got from Iran overwhelmed the Iron Dome system. Overwhelmed the Iron Dome system in a way where there were so many rockets in the air coming from the Gaza Strip that the Israeli and the American military operating the Iron Dome could not make out which rockets they wanted to hit. And as a result, the Iron Dome basically failed. Now, that makes our enemy more precocious, doesn't it? When they know that if they launch enough crap into the air, they throw enough mud against the wall, at least in the beginning, they're going to win the war. Hamas has been able to overwhelm that Iron Dome with the sheer number of rockets that they used. It uses different versions of the Iranian-made Fatah 110 surface-to-ballistic missiles, which are road mobile. Iran made those missiles road mobile, where they can be launched from the backs of trucks very easily. And those Fatah 110 surface-to-surface ballistic missiles can carry warheads weighing up to 500 kilograms. Hamas also has anti-tank missiles similar to the U.S. Stinger. Hamas is also very well equipped with certain sorts of things that are very well trained to use. In the aftermath of the airstrikes at Sheikh Ahmad Yassin Mosque el-Shati, west of Gaza, about 74,000 Palestinians were displaced. The Israeli Air Force came over there and took out the Sheikh Ahmad Yassin Mosque in el-Shati, west of Gaza, because they were using it as a military headquarters. So the Israeli Air Defense Force came in and bombed it out. It left 74,000 Palestinians displaced to 64 schools and shelters in the Gaza Strip. Palestinian protests have been ongoing all over the United States today. We saw what happened. We've seen what happened when the Palestinians raid the United States. And that's where I'm going to take this. If you folks feel like nothing is going to happen, you need to take a look at this. Today, thousands of Palestinians took to the streets of New York, Atlanta, and Chicago, overwhelming law enforcement and other troops that were there, protesting the United States and protesting Israel. The only place that the Palestinians did not win was New York. Because we have a large number, and I mean huge numbers, of Israelis in New York. There were more Israelis out in the streets of New York than there were Palestinians. Folks, as we have reported before, there have been large groups of people from around the world that have come across our southern border. And now you see it in action. You see it in action. These people are here to take apart the United States of America. I'm serious. Richard Smith said there was a protest in Canada too. Not surprising. Marie says there are many cells here. There are. Because the Biden administration has allowed this to happen. The Biden administration has allowed this to happen. First, right after Biden took power, he changed everything. The southern border of the United States was pretty solid. Yes, we had to build about 200 more miles of fence, but President Trump wanted to do that. President Biden, on the other hand, stopped the presence of wall building, saying the walls weren't necessary, the walls were useless, the walls could not stop anything. Biden was asked, why then do you have a wall around the White House if walls don't do anything? And Biden turned tail and walked away from the question. Now, nearly 3 years later, Biden wants to start erecting the wall again. Except Biden took the steel that President Trump had left there to build the border wall and sold it all. So now Biden has to go out and spend more U.S. taxpayer dollars to buy more steel to build the wall again. We don't have a wall. Our wall has been rendered inefficient by the Biden administration. In Texas, we had a portion of the wall finished there. Biden and his crews went with welding torches and opened a gate in the middle of the fence and welded the gate open so terrorists and other people could come through the gate. Biden sent people to cut the razor wire that Governor Abbott had put up with the National Guard. Biden went and sent forces there to cut the razor wire to allow the illegals to come into the United States. Governor Abbott has also put up legislation that has been passed by the Texas legislature to close the border with the power of the government of Texas, regardless of what Biden wants to do. That still is not stopping what has already happened and what is continuing to happen. It's ongoing. Palestinian protests have gone on all around the U.S. and even in Canada today. The Israeli people came out in droves in New York to protest the war going on in Israel and protest Hamas and Palestinian forces. The militants also took several civilians hostage and took them over to Gaza, including United States citizens, Thai citizens, and I understand some people from Canada were also kidnapped. This attack was followed by a declaration of war by Israel for the first time in over 50 years, leading the country to dispatching its warplanes to bomb besieged Gaza Strip, which remains under a blockade imposed by Tel Aviv. A gun battle in southern Israel between the two sides began shortly after. Overnight, Saturday into Sunday, more than 500 strategic targets were hit in the Gaza Strip, according to the Israeli army. On the social media site X, it was reported that fighter jets, helicopters, and artillery units participated in the attacks on the Islamic Jihad and the Hamas targets. Palestinian authorities said at least 560 people have been killed in Palestine and another 2,900 people have been injured in the Gaza Strip due to the Israeli retaliatory strikes. In Israel, at least 900 people have died, and more than 2,300 others have been injured by Hamas forces. It is said thousands have been wounded on both sides. Hamas attacked Israel so fast and on so many fronts. By all accounts, it seems that Hamas terrorists walked in without hardly anyone trying to stop them. Rockets started flying into Israel at night. There was a huge siege that the Iron Dome rocket protection system was confused and could not stop all the incoming death rockets. Hamas terrorists also came storming into Israel on motorcycles and over on the European and British-made now I can't remember the name of the vehicle, the Land Rovers. Hamas terrorists came over storming in Land Rovers and motorcycles into home settlements, grabbing, kidnapping, and killing young women and mothers and children. Gaza's complete siege order, delivered Monday by Israeli Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant, said, quote, "We are fighting barbarians and will respond accordingly," announcing the Israeli Defense Forces Operation Swords of Iron operation. The talk is that Israel is going to go into Gaza and completely destroy the Gaza Peninsula once and for all, to make sure that Israel does not have to be attacked again. This is not just coming from Israel. This is also coming from our sources here in the United States. Israel is done with the rocket attacks. Israel is done with all the nonsense. They do not want to have to keep defending themselves every day against rocket attacks like they've seen happen recently. They're done with it. They're saying they're going in and eliminating the problem. How many fighters does Hamas have? It's been previously estimated that Hamas has 10,000 fighters. Excuse me for a second. Barry and Dave, I'll talk to you guys later. Hamas has 10,000 fighters ready to go at any one time. When violence flares, they can mobilize lots of people. So their numbers can go from 10,000 Hamas fighters up to and including 40 to 50,000 fighters. That's how many people that they can throw at this problem. It's already known that Biden had given Iran $9 billion just a few weeks ago. This raid on the United States, or this raid on Israel, has been planned for weeks now, if not months. Biden gave Iran all that money. All of a sudden, Hamas attacks Israel. Hamas terrorists attacked Israel. This attack had been planned for months and possibly even years. Sunday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that their legislature met and voted for an overwhelming attack to be carried out against Hamas in Gaza. It was said, no electricity, food, fuel, or water will be delivered to the enclave of 1.2 to 1.3 million inhabitants. 1.2 to 1.3 million inhabitants. This is what they said here. You're seeing the picture of the Prime Defense Minister here with Israeli forces. They mean business. I believe that they mean business. They're not going to put up with this crap any longer. And who could blame them? Because this kind of crap has been going on for a very long time. Arabs that are suffering under the Hamas rule in the Gaza Strip, which is surrounded on three sides by Israel and Egypt, there's not an Egyptian-Israeli blockade started preventing any weapons from getting to the terrorists. All the experts there believe that the Islamic Republic of Iran is pushing all the buttons behind the scenes. Iran is saying today that they have had nothing to do with the attack. The attack is already being carried out. The report comes as Hamas claimed that 163 Israelis have been abducted and taken to Gaza, and Israel has identified the leader of the Hamas campaign. Another side of the war, it is now known that Hamas is using United States-made weapons against Israel. I'm going to repeat that. Hamas is now using United States-made weapons against Israel. That's going to be hard to fight against. Even when we get our aircraft carriers and other artillery ready to go assist Israel, we're going to be hit with weapons of our own making. Weapons once meant for Ukraine, we found that Ukraine has sold those weapons on the black market to Hamas. All those weapons that we have allegedly given to Ukraine or sold to Ukraine has been resold on the black market and has made their way to the Gaza Strip, into the terrorists' hands. So we are now facing a different kind of war. Folks, this is not pleasant for me. because I don't see anything good coming from any of this. And in fact, it could be deadly for a lot of people. This could be deadly for a lot of people. Today, Senator Rand Paul came forward and he said, we're having problems funding Social Security. We're having problems funding Medicare, Medicaid, and we don't just have extra money just to be sending to another country. Yet that is exactly what has been done now. Supposedly, those weapons and money were sent to Ukraine to help Ukraine against their own war with Russia. Now we're finding out it's a completely different story. The cat's out of the bag. Not only have we been sending money to Ukraine, but we've also been sending weapon systems there. And those weapon systems have now made their way to Gaza. And we now have a war where Israel and the United States will be facing terrifying circumstances, getting hit with their own weapons. Right now, Biden has ordered another strike force led by the United States Gerald R. Ford, the largest aircraft carrier the United States has ever made, capable of putting up 70 F-35 fighter jets at a time. 70 F-35 fighter jets and helicopters and all kinds of other weapons, as well as their strike force. There's now 3 strike forces, aircraft carrier strike forces, there in the Mediterranean and the other areas around the Gaza Strip, Israel, and Egypt. 3 aircraft carrier task forces. And now we're going to have to defend ourselves against our own weapons. It's interesting. It's interesting. The Ford will arrive in the Eastern Med within the next 24 to 36 hours, and it will be on scene to carry out orders. Isn't it interesting how just the other day, Biden, good old President Biden, shook hands with Palestinians, pledging to them aid from the United States. Right here. He pledged aid to the Palestinians, reversing President Trump's policy against doing so. And now we are finding, assisting Israel. We're going to be assisting Israel in fighting Hamas with their own weapons. Because Biden promised assistance to the Palestinian terrorists. Lebanon is also now telling Israel to stay out of Gaza. And Lebanon has also sent rockets into Israel targets. Egypt that has in the past been a mediator in these conflicts is now saying it is not going to get involved in this conflict unless they are attacked. Egypt and Israel have once fought in a very bloody war. A very bloody war. Egypt, it appears, does not want to get involved this time. Egypt has now issued a statement for both sides to stand down, which at present is not going to happen. Egypt has also just given the middle finger to the United States, which has kept Egypt under its thumb for many years. Israeli Defense Forces spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari told journalists during a press briefing, Aveyah, Sinwar, commander of the Hamas terror campaign, is a dead man. Intelligence failed to predict the Hamas attacks years in the works. Israeli intelligence, one of the greatest intelligence forces in the world, failed to predict the Hamas attacks that have been years in planning. Prime Minister Netanyahu told Biden yesterday, Israel must go into Gaza. After the Israeli attacks started, it is reported that more than 1,200 people are confirmed dead in the Gaza Strip. Thousands more have been wounded. More than 800 Israelis have been murdered by Hamas. The State Department has confirmed at least 9 Americans have been killed. Israel has not witnessed a death toll like this in decades, not since the 1973 Yom Kippur War. This past Saturday was the 50th anniversary when Hamas attacked Israel last. There are reports that there are at least 100 hostages now in Gaza. Most of them are women and children. There are videos of Hamas terrorists bringing those people in bodies across the border into Gaza. Again, as I said in the beginning, the videos that we have seen are too gruesome to share. Lots of Israelis were out and out murdered as the Hamas terrorists carried out their gruesome attack. There are concerns that Hamas terrorists will continue to carry out attacks around the globe. Again, who have we let into the United States and Canada? Who have we let into every other country around the globe? We don't know who those people are. Many of them have left their IDs on the Mexican side of the border. I've seen quite a few of those IDs. They left it on the Mexican side of the border so they cannot be properly identified once they get into the United States. It has also come out that Israel knew that this attack was going to happen. Why did they not try to stop it? What is the United States and Canada doing to possibly stop attack here on our own shores? Again, Iran denies involvement in the Hamas terror attack on Israel. Iran is completely washing their hands of everything. Quite frankly, guys, I think we do know that Iran helped Hamas. And I don't believe that this will be the only thing that happens. I just don't believe that. Each and every one of us here, and I don't know who's all here. There is no idea who's all here. But I am telling you folks, you need to share this information far and wide. Because citizens of our own countries deserve to be able to protect themselves and to do whatever they need to do so. These are indeed the worst of all times. I have never felt this way ever before. I did not want to be talking about this today. This was the last thing that I had thought would be happening. On Friday night, I thought we were going to be just talking about earthquakes. Guess what? Guess what? Yeah, we're going to talk about earthquakes, but not in the way that I wanted to be doing that. Now, I'm now going to talk about earthquakes. Okay? Please follow along with me. I want to make sure that everyone understands where we're going and what we're talking about. Please follow along. I'm going to go over to Afghanistan right now. Saturday night into Sunday, Afghanistan got hit with at least a 6.9 earthquake. I believe that earthquake was at least a 7.5. A major 7.5 earthquake in Afghanistan. And it's still shaking. It's still shaking now. This earthquake right now is a 5.1 over in Afghanistan. Over 2,000 people have been killed as a result of those earthquakes since Saturday night. Over 2,000 people have been killed. Yes, we probably can't help them. Aid is coming from all over the world to help them. Aid is being sent from all over the world to help them. I'm sorry about that. Some people want to get me on their radio show, and right now that's not good for me. If people want me on my radio show, and I know that Dave is there and several other people are there, you guys all know that I'm doing this show. I'm not going to put you all on the air with me right now. That's not fair to everybody else that's here. I have a lot of things I need to talk about. You guys want me on your show? Let me come on after this. That's a different story. Hurricane Heather says my phone sounds like a party. Yeah, sometimes it is. Fantasy Dog says we all love you, Ron. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyway, guys, this happened in Afghanistan Saturday into Sunday. Major earthquake. It's now killed over 2,000 people. People are buried up there. Their homes were mud homes. They were homes in caves and such like that. And now wintertime is setting in. Things are going to get very miserable for the people in Afghanistan and Tajikistan, all over this area. It's going to get very cold and miserable. That's not the only place. Today over here in Turkey, in Syria area, this is a 4.2 earthquake. This is an aftershock, and this is not the only earthquake. There's about 50 other earthquakes here as well. Again, the USGS does not put up everything. There was a major 9.0 to 10.0 earthquake that hit here earlier this year. As we pointed out with Puerto Rico, 2 major earthquakes hit there back in 2019, and they're still feeling aftershocks. This area in Turkey is going to feel aftershocks for many, many, many years. And I have a feeling another such earthquake is about to hit someplace else. And it's not going to be pretty. Today here in Europe, Slovakia, this is a 5.0 earthquake here. Slovakia has been having earthquakes here for about a month. They've gradually gotten larger and larger. Today, a large 5.0 hit here near the border of Poland and Slovakia. Things are not really good there. This is a large earthquake that can do substantial damage. These are not the only earthquakes that have hit. I can show you probably 300 or 400 more earthquakes that have hit. Of course, they're not going to show you any earthquakes here in Europe other than that. Because this agency, the USGS, is inept. They do not have the people to do the job. Because they will not get the people to do the job. Because the politicians are telling them what to do. Sad, but true. USGS is showing 2 earthquakes in South America. There are about 30 earthquakes in South America. Over here in Puerto Rico, like I said, December 27th and December 30th. 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake hit on those days. 2019. We're still seeing earthquakes here today. A 3.0 here. Right next to it, a 2.4. This was a 2.4 here as well. This one further out in the Caribbean was a 2.6. This is a 2.3. This one here may or may not have anything to do with those other earthquakes. This is a 3.0 up here in the mountains around the volcano here in Puerto Rico. Yes, folks, there was and is a volcano here that made this island. This is a 3.0 earthquake that I believe was hit with magma. And I believe this earthquake was caused by magma here in this area. Okay? My opinion. Over here, for weeks now we've not been seeing any earthquakes here in Central America. Now we see a 4.4 offshore from why can I not talk? A 4.4 offshore from El Salvador, 38 miles deep. We go north here into the United States, over here to the Continental Divide on the eastern side of the U.S. South Carolina. I've been showing you earthquake seismograms from here just east of Elgin, South Carolina. Sumter, South Carolina. Today, we're seeing a 1.7 tremor. As you can see, this is on the eastern Continental Divide. This is not the first earthquake that's been here. USGS has not been reporting any in a long time. Late last year, we had quite a swarm of earthquakes here on the southeastern Continental Divide. You can tell where it is. You can tell where the mountains start, and they start to lift up to the big mountain part. This is just barely here in Elgin, where it's the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the eastern Continental Divide. We're going to see more earthquakes here. I will explain more about that later this week. Another earthquake over here on the New Madrid Fault. Over here in Arkansas. Northeastern Arkansas. This is over near Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is a 2.3 earthquake. 2.3 earthquake. We go over here to Oklahoma. Mill Creek, Oklahoma. USBS says this is an explosion. They say it's a quarry blast. They say it has no depth. They say it's a 1.4 explosion. Folks, this is probably a mile and a half from the quarry. Yes, it could be related to the quarry. It could be related to the quarry. Folks, let me tell you, that's a long distance from that quarry to be a quarry blast. And again, they've not assigned a depth to it. So again, it could be a quarry blast. Or could it be a spontaneous combustus carnivorous, an exploding tree? Just saying. Just saying. Let's go north. This is in Wayne, Oklahoma. We have not seen any earthquakes that I know of since I've been doing these broadcasts here in Wayne, Oklahoma. This just happens to be an oil and gas quake. It happens to be an oil and gas earthquake. Why? Why, Ron, is this an oil and gas quake? Right here. See that open spot right here? Oil and gas pumps and jacks there. Oil and gas pumps and jacks here. Oil and gas pumps and jacks right there, right next to that roadway. If there is a earthquake within 6 to 10 miles of a pumping operation, that earthquake is usually deemed an oil and gas earthquake. And as you can see, this earthquake is within a small distance of that pumping operation, and several others as well. Another 1.8 tremor right next to an oil and gas pumping operation, an oil and gas quake right here. There's another one here. This is in Velma, Oklahoma. Up until several weeks ago, we hardly ever saw anything near Velma, Oklahoma. Let's go and take a look at it. Okay? Again, another earthquake here. Actually, a couple. Okay? Yes, earlier there were two others. This one is a 1.8. A 1.8. USGS's map is not letting us go in any closer. But if you go almost directly south here, you can see some pads. Oil and gas pads. Okay? They're literally everywhere. Over here in this lake. This is another 1.8 tremor here. But there are oil and gas plots all over here. I believe this is an oil and gas earthquake. Both of these. Oil and gas earthquakes here in Velma, Oklahoma. Oklahoma has 586,000 pumps and jacks all over the state. And many of these places you can see on the maps if you look close. Anytime you see a plot, such as these here, oil and gas, especially if you see water, a pond of water near the plant. That pond of water is reclaimed water that they put down into the hole under pressure to pull steam, or not steam, to pull oil and gas out of. Okay, you can see them all over here. Oil and gas quakes here in Oklahoma today. South, Nordheim, Texas, a 4.0 earthquake, oil and gas. Oil and gas. Look at this. This happens to be right smack dab in an oil and gas field, an oil and gas pumping operation. This is a moderate 4.0 earthquake. People felt this quake. People felt that quake. Further west, not far from that, Falls City, Texas. This is not the first time we've had an earthquake here in Falls City, Texas. Also oil and gas. South of there, they say southern Texas this time. They haven't defined a city or a town nearby. Right smack dab in the middle of an oil field. Oil and gas quake. This time it's a 2.2 minor earthquake here. Right smack dab in the middle of oil. Just like J.R. Ewing. I can almost hear that music playing now. Okay? We go north. This is western Texas. A 3.1 earthquake. This is also a 3.0 earthquake. Okay? Oil and gas quakes, guys. There's a cache of quakes here. Oil and gas right there. Right near that quake here. This is a 2.3 near Hermleigh, Texas. You see many earthquakes near Hermleigh, Texas here in the past few weeks. This is also a 3.1 here. Oil and gas just northwest of there. This is a 2.9, 3.0. Oil and gas to the northwest of here. Okay? There may also be some oil and gas south of there. I believe there's some plots here. Looks like there may be at least a couple plots there. These are oil and gas plates here near Hermleigh, Texas. Okay? Then we go further west. Mentone, Texas. Mentone, Texas. A 2.4 oil and gas earthquake there. 2.4 magnitude oil and gas quake here. Look at all the plots here. They're everywhere here. You can see them. That's a 2.4. This is a 2.9, 3.0. Mentone, Texas. Okay? Oil and gas everywhere through there. Okay? Let's go over here. You can see some earthquakes here in Southern California. Okay? We talked last week about the Imperial Valley. This is Calipatria. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake 5 miles north of Calipatria, California, Imperial Valley. Folks, this is an oil and gas here. This is steam related. They're pulling steam from the volcano here. Okay? The Salt Butte volcano is just inside the water here near Calipatria here from this earthquake here. This is a 1.5 tremor. Just further north into the water here is this earthquake, or this volcano here. The Salt Butte volcano. Folks, we have probably, I want to say, 6 or 7 different facilities here, they're geothermal facilities where man has drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Salton Sea here, the Salton Butte volcano, to obtain steam to generate electricity at these turbines. That's why we keep getting hit with these earthquakes here. Okay? Just north of this earthquake here, for example. Okay? Right here. This is an oil, excuse me, not an oil. I got oil and gas on the brain. This is a geothermal complex here. And you can see the turbines here. Everywhere where there's an earthquake, it's because man has drilled into the surface of the earth, in this case to obtain steam from the volcano to power these turbines, to generate electricity. Okay? Every time. Every time. I believe this earthquake here is also part of that. This is a 1.5 tremor. This one further south here is a 2.6 earthquake. A 2.6 earthquake. And there's more where that came from. Because USGS is not putting out any earthquakes here. They don't want us to know about it. They're showing this 2.0 here. This is south of Salton City. This is 6 miles south of the Salton City. Salton City is right here. Salton City is right here. This used to be a pretty good small-sized town. They had mobile homes there. They had trading posts and other stores there. That was back in the 50s and 60s. Now it's a run-down mobile home park. The mobile homes are falling down on top of themselves. The other buildings there are rotting away. All it is now is a tourist trap. So tourists can see what once was back in the 50s and 60s. Okay? But that doesn't stop the earthquakes and such from happening. Okay? Over here, this is Ocotillo Wells. This is just west of Salton City. It's a 0.6 microquake. And you can see these others here, over here at the top of the Chocolate Mountains. Okay? The Borrego Springs at 0.6. 1.3 Borrego Springs. Again, the Anza Borrego Desert State Park here in northeast San Diego County. Okay? We're having earthquakes here. This is normal. This is normal. A 1.4 tremor there, a 0.5 microquake there. Further north here, a 0.1. Okay? Now, I need to use this map for a little while longer. USGS has shut me down, but I have a reset for them. They might slow me down, but they can't stop me. They can't stop me. Slow me down, no problem. Stop me, not going to happen. Okay? This one here is East San Diego. East San Diego County. Julian, California. Julian, California. This is a great place. This is a 1.0 tremor. Julian, California, right now they're harvesting apples. You can go there and have great apple pie. There are restaurants all over Julian. There are bed and breakfasts and other small hotels over there in Julian. Go up there for a weekend. Go camping in the parks. It might be a little bit cold. You can take your RV up there. and have a great time in Julian, California. That's a 1.0 tremor. I don't think Julian has actually had anything over a 2.6 earthquake. That's a tremor. Just north of there, Lake Henshaw, northeast of Escondido, California. We've been having earthquakes here for quite some time. I fully expect there to be a 5.0 earthquake as a result of all these other minor tremors that have been hitting here. That's a 0.8 microquake. Right next to it is 0.5, and over here a 1.4 tremor, just north of Lake Henshaw. Lake Henshaw is my old fishing lake, just northeast of Escondido. We're getting earthquakes here. Okay? We've had swarms of earthquakes. I have a feeling we're going to have a larger earthquake there. North of there, this is up near Fallbrook, California. This is a 1.2. This is still in San Diego, North County. Okay? We go north up here. This is Idlewild. This area is considered to be in the Anza Gap. Idlewild, California here is a great tourist town. They've got restaurants, great restaurants you can eat at, A-frame cabins you can stay at. You can go hiking and camping all over those mountains, and pretty soon you're going to have snow there. It'll be a ski place, a great place, another tourist trap. But we're getting swarms of earthquakes there. Just north of there, consider 6 miles southwest of Idlewild here. This just happened. This is a 1.0 tremor. 1.0 tremor. We go southwest here. Again, this is over near, I talked about this. This is over near Fallbrook, California. A 1.2 tremor. Over here, they're calling this a quarry blast over near Powell, California. Powell, California. Guys, there's no quarry here. There's no quarry. This is an Indian reservation. This is an Indian reservation. How do I know that? Because I've been in Powell, California. Look what they have here. Avocado groves. Avocado groves here, guys. There is no quarry blast here. This just happens to be a third of a mile deep as well. A 0.7 tremor, microquake. Okay? Northeast San Diego County. Okay? And actually, look at this. See this highway here? This is Interstate 15 running from downtown San Diego all the way up towards Los Angeles, out to Las Vegas, and into into Utah, going all the way up into Montana. This is Interstate 15. This happens to be 2 lanes in each direction here. How do I know? I've driven it many, many, many times. Okay? Powell Indian Reservation here with a 0.7 microquake here. Okay? We go further north. This is Winchester, California, south of Lake Paris. Winchester, California. This is just north of Temecula, north and east of Temecula. Winchester, California with 0.8 microquake. Rarely have I ever seen a microquake in Winchester, California. Today there is one. Okay? Right here. Banning, California at 0.5. We go north. This is Loma Linda, California. Loma Linda, California. This is almost Mira Loma, California. Okay? This is a 0.9. This is a 0.9 as well. Microquakes. Microquakes. What do we know about Loma Linda? It's home to the Loma Linda Medical Center, a huge, beautiful hospital here. Loma Linda Medical Center. Okay? That's where that is. We go further north and west here. This is Colton, California. Colton, California has been moving quite a bit lately. This is not the first tremor here. This is like the 7th or 8th tremor this week. A 1.1 tremor here in Colton, California. Interesting, huh? Going over west towards Los Angeles. Not quite LA. Not quite. USGS is calling this a quarry blast. Folks, it's actually not near any quarries. It's just not. There's a home development here. There's a home development. This is a tremor here. A 1.0 tremor. This is 3 miles deep. This has nothing to do with a quarry blast. Nothing to do with a quarry blast. This is near Home Gardens, California. Yes, Home Gardens does have quarries way further south down here. Way further south, like here. South and west of there. That is not a quarry. Okay? That's out here in the hills, and it just happens to be near some, it might be a business park, it might be a home development right here. They're not going to have any blasting 3 miles deep here. Okay? Tear apart those businesses. Not going to happen. Okay? I just love it when they pull stuff like that. Remember us talking about last week, Walnut, La Puente, California? Look what we have here. This happens to be a volcano caldera. This is a 1.3 tremor here. This is a 1.1. This is 0.7. This is 0.8. And folks, this is 0.9 near Diamond Bar. Diamond Bar. But this area near La Puente here in Walnut, guess what? There's a volcano there. And I will tell you right now, if I pulled the seismogram on that right now, you would see a lot bigger earthquakes than this. These are just tremors. I will guarantee you that there are 2.5 earthquakes, there are 3.5 earthquakes here, and there are 4.0s here. Guaranteed. I showed those to you before. This is the first time we've had any tremors here at the Walnut Puente area ever. They've never shown them on the map, ever. We go north. This happens to be Silver Lake, California. Silver Lake, California. This is north of the LA Basin. This is a 2.6 earthquake, and it's not the only one. We've had 2.6, 3.0, and 3.2 earthquakes here in Silver Lake, California. This is a 2.6 here. A 2.6. Now, folks, I don't want to spend any more time in California. I'm going to show you a couple more things, and then we're going to the Pacific Northwest. This is a 2.1 earthquake in the Pinnacles. In the Pinnacles. It's just west of the San Andreas Fault. This is also an oil and gas area, a 2.1 magnitude earthquake. This here is right at Tres Pinos, a 1.6 tremor. A 1.6 tremor here. Okay? That's just southeast of Monterey Bay on the San Andreas Fault. 100 miles north of the Bay Area, we have the geysers. You can see all these. All these are our earthquakes because man has drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Clear Lake volcano here. That's what we're seeing here. Okay? We go northeast. This is Prattville, California. What do we have here? This is important. This is a 2.4 earthquake at Lake Alamanor. A 2.4 earthquake at Lake Alamanor. We had a 5.1 and a 5.3 earthquake here earlier this year. Okay? Now we're having another 2.4. Okay? It continues to ring, doesn't it? This is continuing to ring. And rightly so. Now, let's go over here into the Pacific Northwest. I'm specifically going to talk about this area right here. Okay. This earthquake hit here yesterday evening. This earthquake hit here at 9:08 p.m. Pacific time. This was an aftershock of at least a 5.0 magnitude earthquake. This is an aftershock here in the Puget Sound area. Okay? This is a 4.3 aftershock of a larger earthquake, and I'm going to show you that right now. So let's get out of this earthquake map and show you something bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? Folks, I'm serious about this. I could not be any more serious. Look what this earthquake was. Okay? Highway Runner just gave us another $20 super chat. I want to thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Congratulations to Ron and Carol. For those people that don't know who Carol is my wife. Carol is my wife. We got married yesterday evening, and I'll show you a wedding picture in just a few minutes. Okay? This is a 4.9 5.0 earthquake, and I have helioplots that I'm not going to show you tonight because it's too late. I may show you them to you tomorrow. This is a 5.0 earthquake minimum. This may have been as strong as a 5.5 large quake. It was felt over a large area. It was felt over a huge area, guys. And I'm serious. It's felt over a huge area. Yes, we have earthquakes in this area all the time. This is the largest earthquake we've had here in a very long time. This 5.0 plus earthquake happened about 7:21 p.m. Pacific time last night. And that earthquake, guys, is serious. It's serious. Okay? Why am I talking about it? Let me show you this. This is another record. USGS downgraded to 4.5. They downgraded this to a 4.5. This was at least a half magnitude downgrade. This was at least a half magnitude downgrade. They have no business downgrading this. They have no business downgrading this. Folks, this shows there to be a 4.3 aftershock. And there was another one there as well that could have been a 4.2, just to the south or to the west of there. You can see it. There were many aftershocks. There were many aftershocks here. And for them to downgrade this earthquake is preposterous. It really is. It's preposterous. They should never have done that. They should never have done that. Now I thought I had a map showing this earthquake and showing the felt reports. Here they, yes I do, right here. Look at this. Look at this wide area felt report. Okay? All over, all the way up to Vancouver. All the way up to Vancouver. And over on Vancouver Island as well. Look at that. Huge felt report area. Thank you all for the congratulations. I really appreciate it. Carol and I got divorced 2 years ago. A little over 2 years ago. And there was a lot of animosity and feelings hurt and things that happened. I'm not even going to get into that. Because right now those things don't matter. What I'm not talking about tonight I'll bring up tomorrow night. Because it's getting late. It's already 9 p.m. here on the East Coast. But Carol moved back here about a year ago. And there were still some hard feelings. And she was doing some things that I didn't approve of. But we worked things out. We worked together for a long time. We didn't sleep in the same bed. We didn't even get near the same room together. Many times we didn't get near each other. But last night we got remarried. We worked things out. The man there is a bishop of our church. And he married us last night just after 6:30 p.m. So folks, you're looking at a newly married man again. Okay? Thank you so much for everything you guys do for us as well. Fantasy Dogs is fantastic. I agree. I agree. Now, on a personal note, in order to love someone, it takes time. It takes effort. It takes willpower. It takes effort on both parties. You can't be over here and be away from the party that you supposedly love. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You have to become one. You have to work together. If you don't, it's not going to work at all. You can't do it. And these Arabians is talking forgiveness. That's the other key too. You have to be able to forgive and to forget. That's what you have to do. It's a work in progress. Anytime you get together with anybody, it's always a work in progress, whether it's a friendship or any kind of relationship. It's a work in progress. The Lord has told us about this. The Lord has been very specific about relationships between men and women, our children, and our parents. The Scripture has been very select about it. The Lord gave us specific instructions. He said we must leave our parents, our mothers and fathers, and cleave to each other. And cleave to each other. You can't be out here working on your relationship when your parents are still a huge part of your life, influencing your life away from your spouse. It doesn't work. I've had one of those relationships before. It doesn't work. You have to leave your parents. You have to leave your parents and become one. And become one. Yes, your parents can still be your best friends, but your parents should be out there supporting the couple, not trying to divide the couple. And that's what happened in my first marriage. I had a mother-in-law that hated my guts. Her dad loved me. My wife at the time's dad loved me. He's gone on now. He was a great man. I loved him. We worked on several projects together. We had a lot in common. But his wife hated my guts. You have to work together. You have to come together and raise children. You have to come together for a purpose of love, companionship, for a bigger goal. For a bigger goal. It's my belief that you can't go into the kingdom of heaven by yourself. Your spouse is going to be there. Your spouse is going to be there. You can't be there alone. You can't be there by yourself. You have to go together. Yes, people die separately. We know that. But in the very end, to be together in heaven is our goal. We have to work at it. We have to work at it. God gave us each other to help each other. He loves us. He loves us. He wants us to be together. And that's what Carol and I have done. Yes, I shed a lot of tears. We both had a lot of things we had to work on. But now we're together. And that's what's important. And yes, I'm very happy. Even up until a few weeks ago, she and I were still working on things. But we came together, and that's what's important. I wanted to share that with you, because you guys are also part of me. All of you are a part of me. You always will be. Now, the reason I talked to you in great effect today was to bring to your attention the emergency over in Israel. Things are happening. BOMBs are being dropped in Jerusalem. Rocket attacks in Jerusalem. Gethsemane. The whole area. Let's pray. Let's pray for Israel. Let's pray for our world. Nothing is as it was even 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. Nothing is the same any longer. Okay? Earlier, someone had said that this is all biblical. The Bible is literally unfolding in front of the whole world right now. It's time to get right with God. It's time to get right with God. Brothers and sisters, I have a testimony that Jesus Christ is our Savior. God is our Father. He lives. He lives. He wants us to return to our heavenly home. Let's start getting right with God and getting right with God right now. We don't have much time left here on this earth. It's time to get right with God. I love you. I love our connection. I love being able to talk about emergency matters and emergency preparedness with you. This is all part of it. This is very much part of it. Get right with God and get right with God right now. I leave you my testimony that God lives. He hears and answers prayers. It's time to get through doing what we need to do and make it right. Brothers and sisters, I pray that you will have the Lord's Spirit to be with you, always. I pray that you will follow the Lord's teachings throughout your lives and draw closer to God. Please prepare. Get your preparedness plan written ASAP. You never know when all heck is going to break loose here in the United States. We've got a bunch of terrorists here. Yeah, we do. Pray. Pray and work together. Get prepared. Write your plan. Get your emergency preparedness stuff together now. Get your emergency preparedness together right now. This is vital for your safety and mine. Laura Marie just gave us another $50 super chat. Thanks, Laura. God bless you for that. She says, congratulations to Ron and Carol. That means so much to us. I will tell Carol that in a few minutes if she's not already listening or watching our program, which she sometimes is. May God bless you and be with you. Get your preparedness stuff together. Don't forget water. Don't forget water. God be with you guys until we meet again. We will see you tomorrow night. If something else happens here tonight, we'll be back here on the air to tell you about it as the information becomes available. Until then, take care, everybody. Much love. Do know that I love you, and we'll see you around the corner. Good night, everybody. See you soon.